you've been going on about the PSTV all week to me. Not a lot of the viewers won't be aware of this. George is a huge PST. I can't even say.
Big fan. I'm a big fan.
He loves the
I'm
PSTV.
playing a lot of Street Fighter X Tekken on PSTV.
On PSTV.
Yeah,
Exclusively on PSTV. Not
It's
on
the only
anything
way,
else.
baby. Whoever is the highest bidder, if Soldier Game wants to sponsor us,
Yeah.
I will be on the Soldier Game console.
Exclusively.
Total exclusive content. I'll be on ouya. I'll be on Google Stadia.
Welcome back, guys. Your number one ouya podcast. We talk about the latest ouya news.
Yo, we just made top 1 out of the one ouya podcasts. Let's go, baby.
This is our top 10 ouyas. Number 1, the ouya.
What was ouya thinking?
I don't know, man. I don't know if they were.
Well,
I played one of those once.
Is Stadia still up?
I don't think so. I think they sacked them all, right? They fired everyone.
I don't know, man. I was keeping up with Stadia real hot because I was really interested in whether or not it would be something, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah,
No one even talks about it anymore.
they kind of canceled it like really fast. It's quite weird, eh? They got rid of they laid a lot of people off. I believe it's done. Like it still exists, but it's not going to get any enhancements or anything like that. It's sort of.
God, imagine buying a bunch of Stadia digital games and then blowing your paycheck on microtransactions for Assassin's Creed Odyssey boosts. Like I wanted 2 XP boosts on my AC Odyssey.
To get
And then Google's like, we're just gonna cancel this.
Yeah, I don't even know it had trophies on Stadia or any equivalent of trophies. I wonder if there's like a Hakum of the Stadia.
It could be us. There's only like 6 guys that have ever played it. So
This could be our chance to be number 1 at something.
We could be the number 1 Google Stadia podcast.
We
The number
could
one Google-
probably still be that if we decided to really hard pivot. Now, I think it's entirely possible I could be the number 1 Google Stadia YouTuber.
I don't know. People were telling me Stadia was gonna be the truth, and I was like, look, man, Have you ever been to that Google Graveyard website?
Yeah,
of
there's a
everything
lot.
they've killed.
There's a lot there, yeah.
You start scrolling, it goes on. You're like, how big is this page? And it just goes on and on and on forever. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Google will kill this immediately. You know, Google killed Google Fiber. They're like, yeah, we're out.
Is that like a dietary supplement?
Absolutely. It's Metamucil by Google, and it tracks everything you eat as you ingest it, and then it lets you know if you're on your weight loss journey.
Instead of being like a brown powder, though, it was like a completely translucent powder. Just the Google colors.
That's right.
When you put it in the drink,
Google
it changed-
marketing came through and changed it into like green, yellow, orange, and
Yeah,
red circles.
yeah.
And I was like, this looks like every single app on my phone. I hate this. I don't know if this is GPS or my email.
The problem
Good
is nothing is the real one right now. That's I don't know. George and I famously have railed all over the PS5, and Google Stadia is not the way. So I don't know what the way is right now.
Steam.
It's not PS5
I've been on my computer. Yeah.
playing.
I installed Clone Hero on my
Oh.
computer,
Okay.
and I've been playing the old school Guitar Hero games
Oh, nice.
and Rock Band games.
Do you know what I've done?
Just not played video games.
Yeah, I just quit gaming. Completely.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just
Yeah.
stopped playing games. Actually, I have played a little bit of Deadly Premonitions 2 on my Nintendo Switch. Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of Triangle Circle Square. This is our weekly gaming podcast hosted by myself. Well, it's kind of hosted by both of us. I don't want to call myself the host, but it's hosted by me and my good buddy here, E. George.
That's me.
That's him. He's E. George. Yeah, welcome back, everybody. We're on to episode 3. We still have no idea what we're doing. Don't know how to podcast yet, but we're getting
I
there.
know what I'm doing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, you've been pretty good. I still feel miserable every time I hit record. I cry for 30 minutes before we start. There's actually, before this episode went live, I had to edit out
That's the
30 minutes
content
of
creation schedule.
Just crying.
That's universal.
That's universal.
The content creation schedule, it's usually come up with an idea, tell your friends about it, cry deeply after you fail, and then decide to keep going, cry a little bit as you keep going.
So for you personally, when you, so for those unaware, George is actually a really big Twitch streamer. He streams over on Twitch 3 days a week now. Twitch.tv/egeorge underscore. He's a big deal. When I used to stream on Twitch, I would spend like the first sort of like 40 minutes before I went live, just violently crying in the corner of my room. I'd have all the lights off. It'd be pitch black. I'd be completely naked, just sitting there crying. Just like really, really crying, full on crying. Is it a similar situation with you?
Only with sex.
So not with live streaming then.
Not with streaming, but
Right.
before any other sexual encounter,
That
I
makes
usually
sense.
begin with a lot of weeping. There's no shame in climaxing.
Just
Josh,
crying a
but
lot. Do you have a particular ritual before you go live on Twitch? Do you do anything? Is there like something that you do?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a quality control check. Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
something that I put together when I would just experience a lot of issues, and I chalked
Yeah.
it up to just not being organized enough.
Yeah.
So in my head, I meant to write it out a long time ago and just like give it to my other streamer friends.
Yeah.
I just never did. And then those people don't stream anymore. But what I do is, like, for a while I was resetting my internet, restarting my computer completely.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I would do is go through every scene, make sure audio was balanced on all of it, and then I would make sure my camera was in the correct position, make sure all my lights were on, and then whatever game I was playing, make sure it was preloaded on my computer. I would do all of that. And then for like the final step, I would let my Discord server know that I was going live. Then I would go live. That way I'm not fumbling around with stuff when the stream starts.
You've got
it still happens though.
It's legit though. Like, you've actually got a process then. It's not just a there is one more thing that you famously do though before you go live on Twitch.
I take a shower.
Exactly.
I always take a shower.
It's one thing that you always do. You always come on as a damp, sweaty boy.
Well, it's like
when you want to go live.
I don't know. It's for me. It's like a coach. It's like I'm getting ready to go to work.
Sure.
Like I'm like a morning shower guy.
Yeah.
So at my day job, before COVID, before the great lockdown, I would take a shower, go to work, show up to work. Hair would be a little damp, and it would just dry, because I don't blow dry. I just let it air dry.
Yeah.
And the same thing is like, it's like a code switch for me to know that it's time to get serious to go to work. So like I wash, brush my teeth, feel fresh.
Yeah.
I don't want to just slop out of bed and be, I don't want to be here, but whatever. Please follow.
Sub, donate money. I need the money.
I'm like constantly in my head, like, be engaging, smile, be excited about being here. Yeah. And then people are like, how do you have the energy to do this? And I'm like, I don't. I really don't. I just do it.
Similar situation. It's a similar situation. Oh, well, that makes sense. It's So if you ever watch an eGeorge stream, you'll know how far through you are based on how damp he is.
Yeah, when the hair is dry, I just end the stream. As soon as when the hair looks good, it's like, I'm shutting it down. That's your timer. That's your timer.
That's when you know. Well, welcome back, everybody. If you're a new viewer of the channel, thanks for watching. This is our podcast that we do. We talk about. I've already done the intro. Why am I doing it again? But the main topic of the show is going to be about microtransactions and microcurrency. And it's a bit of a conversation George and I have been having offline that I thought would be really interesting to have online as well, specifically around an event with Apex.
Do you remember when DJ Khaled put out that song and that he made that Instagram post saying, I just got called by iTunes, my song is so popular it shut the servers down? And everyone's like, this is so absurd. DJ Khaled. No way. No way. Maybe we should call DJ Khaled to help us out.
We could ask him
on iTunes.
Definitely, I think.
DJ, who was that number you called, Mr. Khaled?
How did you shut down iTunes again?
They were downloading my song so hard they closed the servers. Another one. Back when people were doing that one. Nice. I have been gaming. I've been playing Apex.
This is a good way to move to the part of the conversation around Apex. So I am familiar with Apex. I don't play it, but George plays a lot of Apex. He's a big Apex guy, and he's got a little bit of got a little bit of a beef with what's going on with Apex at the moment and some of the stuff they're doing. And I thought this would
Well,
be interesting to like not only educate me on a little bit, but educate the audience on if they may not be familiar with Apex, its events and microtransactions in general.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like Apex does the standard. It's battle royale. You know, it's three squad teams. You launch into a match, you kill each other, eliminated, you're out of the match.
Lots of fun,
Pretty
right?
standard formula. Yeah, just like similar to like a 3-player Fortnite or a Warzone, any of that.
Yeah.
And then they do their seasons, which Apex has been held in good light for how their seasons run. Their seasons are a lot less grindy than compared to the other games, right? So like you can get through the Apex Battle Pass much faster than the other games. It's pretty fair. But then they do these events where you can, they call them collection events. And if you buy all of the items in the collection event, you can get heirloom weapon currency, heirloom item currency to get a very unique weapon that only your character can have.
Can I? What's heirloom weapon currency? Just to be like, so we understand everything.
So each character has a special weapon that is cosmetic. So like it will come with a special finishing animation. Like if you go to kill someone, you get a special animation. You carry, like one guy has a butterfly knife. If you don't have a weapon, you just punch when you're doing melee attacks. But if you have a legacy item, like the very first one was a kunai, that the ninja character Wraith, she would spin it and then go and slash people with it. I was like, I gotta get this. It's like winning the lottery if you open it through packs.
Makes
Right?
sense.
Yeah. So if you open it through packs, it encourages you to try to buy packs.
Yep.
They say every 500 packs you buy, you are guaranteed to get one, but it takes 500. I mean,
500 a lot.
Like a pack of 3, I think is like $10.
That's a lot. Then 500 packs. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
So what they do is they do events and say, look, we're doing an event that has 24 items in it. If you buy all of those items, you get an heirloom for free. But to get all of those items, it's about 140 to, I think it's like $140, the math.
That's insane. For the heirloom items for a single event.
For one character too.
For one character. Right? Oh my goodness.
So if like you went all the way through it and said, I want like the character Mirage, he's like very into himself. His is a trophy of himself.
Makes sense.
And it's pretty funny. Comes with funny quips and quotes. You spend $140, you get that for him. There's still 11, 12 other characters that either don't have heirlooms yet because they're going to come out in the future. They roll them out slowly, or have heirlooms that you can't get. Yeah. So it becomes like this status thing. Yo, this guy's got the heirlooms. He's got all the cosmetics attached to it. And that's kind of a scumbag move. You know, so like I get it. If you do that, right? It's kind of scummy. But it
seems quite egregious. There's this, and I understand it's all like, I think microtransactions have a place. I mean, George and I kind of differ on this a little bit. Although this is pushing the boundaries a little. I mean, I guess the intention is that you're not going to buy everything. Like you're not going to buy everything for every character, just the ones you care about. But still, it's a huge request or investment from your audience. I think that's an enormous quantity of money they want you to sink into a single character.
Right. And
that's not even the worst part, though, right?
No, because when they're not doing collection events, they do limited time modes. And those also come with unique limited skins you can only get.
Right.
And the skins right now, what they did was they took one popular skin from each character and then recolored it. The exact same skin, except it's red and black now. And they're selling those for 6,000 Apex coins, which is their like Fortnite V-Bucks.
Uh-huh.
And 6,000, I think it washes out to something like $60 or $70, something around there.
For one skin.
For all of them, for like 6 or something like that. It's not a lot of skins, but they're also not new. It's the same skins, just reshaded.
Recolored.
Yeah, they just recolored them and they're just and they're selling them again. And the best part of it is like to launch this out, they put game modes in with it. Every 2 days, a new game mode is going to come in. So on this mode, when someone dies, you're automatically going to get their respawn card. And this day, your armor regenerates. And on this day, there's big new zones that you can fight in. And since this event has started, 2 of the events have already broken. Like 2 of the modes have broken, and they're like, "We're just gonna scrap it and go back to a different mode that is currently working." So it's like on the first day, it was like you die, you respawn immediately. It broke so fast that they just took the very last mode and put it in the front and said, "Well, we're just gonna do armor regen right now and put the other one in the back. That'll give us time to fix it."
Yeah.
Then this latest one that came out on Monday broke, which was auto banners. That one broke to where when people were playing, you couldn't actually launch into games. So they're like, "We're just gonna revert it to the mode that was just there and let that one keep going." And you're just like, "Look, did you play this at all? Did you play this at all, or did you just come up with some crap to throw out there to drum up some hype to sell recolored skins?"
So that's what this sounds like to me. This is someone who's worked in the industry, right? To me, this screams of a publisher needing to hit a target for the financial year or maybe the month. And so pushing something like an event like this is a good way of doing that to drive microcurrency or microtransactions. And it feels to me like maybe Respawn, right? Is Respawn the developer?
Yes.
Had pressure from EA to run an event to generate revenue for the game to hit a particular target. And they may not have had the event completely cooked, tested, rehearsed, ready, or even items to give away. Because the skins, like you said, are, for all intents and purposes...
That's already happened once where... that's the best part is like there was a point where they have a shop, an item shop.
Yeah.
And you can buy a skin, 1,800 coins, which is $10. You can buy it straight up, $10. And if you have Legends tokens, which is another currency, there's like 400 currencies.
Right.
You can get a recolor, a shaded version of the skin. So it's like a cool recolored version of it.
Yeah.
At one point, the shop just stopped loading assets, and then they made a statement saying, "We ran out of art. We ran out of assets."
Oh.
Wow. So we kind of need to catch up on that.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, and there's all this talk about how EA didn't really expect the game to do well.
Yeah.
So they didn't give them a lot to work with.
They probably didn't give them
the
much
game did
time.
well. And they were like, well, my understanding is that it was going to be Titanfall 3, and then they just took it and turned it into a battle royale because Fortnite did so well.
It sounds realistic. I'd say the engine and the platform and everything was already there.
It broke a lot of people's hearts who were like, well, I wanted a good Titanfall game.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, no, you get this battle royale.
It's not inherently an Apex problem. I think, and this is when it comes down to the same with the Sony conversation we talked about earlier. Like, as an insight from someone who's worked on the inside, it all comes down to money at the end of the day. If you got to turn around and think, like, why would they run an event? Well, it's about generating revenue. It's it might be a celebration, but the celebration is an excuse to sell you more skins or to do this or that. Generally, seasonal events are really good. Like, I'm talking about seasonal calendar events, Christmas, Halloween, things like that are really good revenue generators for companies. These guys would be no different. So, to me, that's what it sounds like has happened here. And maybe they weren't fully baked. They didn't have something quite ready to go. So they kind of just rolled out what they had, probably untested, no unique content. Because that's kind of what it sounds like. It's a sad but true thing with live service. Although, have there been I know you don't play many other live service games, but have there been any other instances you're aware of where, like, a live service game has dropped the ball like that? I'm not massive into Warzone or Fortnite.
So if the idea behind a live service game is that you only play this game and you play it a lot, I would say Apex has been very successful at doing that with me. I buy packs occasionally, and for some of the heirloom events, I will buy the items if they look cool. Because I play Apex so much, I don't really play Fortnite. I don't play any of those games.
Yeah.
And I rarely have time to do. So it's like if I'm playing like new games that I'm interested in, or if I'm playing a live service game, I'm either only playing Apex because Apex, in my opinion, has the best feeling gameplay mechanics. I
Of
mean, it's
course.
straight out of that Respawn house and it feels the best.
Yeah.
Like I played Hyperscape, I played Fortnite. I played Fortnite before it was a battle royale. I played there's tons of games. There's tons of games like Anthem.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, games like Destiny. I've played Destiny. Destiny dropped the ball like that for me. That was an instance where I played Destiny 1 on launch. I was like, oh, I'm hyped. Is that Bungie, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm so excited for this. I'm gonna play it. Monstrous hype. I played through all the way through like level your light level that you cap out before raids were rolled out.
Yep.
I got to that. And there was no more content in the game.
Yeah, they just ended,
And
right?
they're like, well, do you want to buy, do you still want to buy stuff? And I was like, well, no, I don't want to lie. There's nothing else to do. I was so jaded by that experience. I refused to buy Destiny 2.
Oh, really? So you never checked it out?
Never played.
Wow.
I was so mad about it that they permanently lost me as a customer.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because I spent $60 on a game and was so, well, don't worry, it will get good eventually.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, no, I gave you $60 right now. I want it to be good right now.
That's the big problem with all of the live services is that lack of content. It's like a company wants to take that risk of producing a product which they either give away for free or a small amount with the plan to make a large amount of money later. Apex being a good example of that. I mean, Destiny sort of to a degree, but it did become that because it did become free to play as well, ultimately in the end. But the company doesn't want to take as much risk in developing it and producing all that stuff with it. So they cut corners and they make it, simplify it, don't put as much development time or money into it on the hope that if it takes off, we'll ramp up development and things like that, which I believe is probably what happened at Apex. Them thinking it's probably not going to go anywhere and it ended up going somewhere and getting quite big. And then having to kind of scramble to do that. But from what I've seen of Apex, I haven't played a huge amount. Like I said, I've just been following it. It does seem like they have been chasing their tail since launch of the game, back in, 2017, 2019?
Yeah, well,
2018?
the game is over 2 years old now. It was 2019, February 2019,
right?
I believe. So like at launch, they were talking about 2 characters per battle pass. That fell off. They were talking about a new gun every battle pass. That fell off. Like they really didn't understand what the live service aspect of it and keeping it fresh while keeping it balanced would take.
Yeah.
But since it's come out, 2 more maps has come out, which is more than I could say for the other games.
Yeah.
Like there's 3 maps, they rotate them well. There's alternating game modes. They keep it fresh.
Yep.
Sometimes the implementation is woefully inadequate, but I came in on Apex spending $0 and experiencing a really fun game. On the other end, Destiny asked me to pay $60.
Yeah.
It was kind of meh. Shot until I maxed out my light level. And then they said, you want to buy some stuff? You want to get some more currency to do some exotics? And I was like, do you want to download future packs for raids and content passes? And I was like, well, no, I'm not interested in this. And I remember when Destiny 2 was coming out, I remember my platinum friends, they were so excited. Said, George, you got to get Destiny 2. We're going to do it. We got to get in there and knock it out. Then the trophy list came out. You ever experienced this where people can just look at a trophy list and know the game is just meh?
I had like
they saw the
trophies.
trophy list, 4 out of 10 difficulty just by eyeballing it. They're like, oh, you just play through it, you'll get everything.
Yeah.
They were all like, oh, well, it'll still be good probably. And then they played it and they were like, it's not too great right now.
Yeah.
Like it needs some work.
Same
problem. I was like, I told you that. They did that the first game and it was successful. They're going to do it again because they can. And
they tried
I just never bought it. And then I got it for free.
Yep.
Then it was a free game. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now they've gone down that route. I mean, it probably always should have been a free game. I think with the way that they treated it, they probably should have released it as a free-to-play game rather than trying to charge again. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not Bungie are prepared to go down that route again and create a Destiny 3 on their own without Activision as a publisher, if they continue it. I guess to wrap, or not even to wrap, but just continue this conversation around Apex. Have you bought into any of this stuff with this event? You know, have you invested much money in it? Where do you come down on it all?
This current event where they're just selling reshades for the what's it called? Warlands event, Warzone event.
Probably as close to Warzone, but as far away from it as possible.
It's something war.
Yeah.
I don't want, it's not war, but I bought one skin because I had enough currency. I bought like the maximum amount of microtransaction currency to buy items in a previous event.
Right.
The game froze. The PlayStation Store did not award me the currency, so I went to do it again, and it double charged me.
Ah, makes sense. Of course.
And then I contacted PlayStation. I was about to charge him back, but instead I called PlayStation.
You don't reverse that charge on PayPal. You don't want to do that.
I did not. I said, hey, I think I got charged twice for this. I did not want to do that. And they're like, have you already spent the microtransaction currency? I said, no, I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. They reversed the charge. I said, just keep the extra currency.
Ah, what?
And I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And they're like, yeah, just keep it, man. Don't worry about it.
Really?
And I was like, hey, that's pretty awesome. The girl was real nice to me too. And she's like, I haven't played Apex before, but I want to start up. Is it a good game? I was like, yeah, I like
Normally
it.
they just ban your account.
I've heard that from sources, but they did that for me. So I had a bunch of extra currency. So I went and bought one skin for one character that I really want. And also because they're darker colors, I think there's more of a strategic advantage in like dimly lit areas.
Yeah.
To just put on a cosmetic that makes you harder to see.
Yeah.
So I did that, but I've been pretty not into the sales side of it. Also, there's like an exhaustion that comes with it because there've been in February, you had the 2-year anniversary event. Mm-hmm. Then you had a collection event. Then you have another event. You have this current BS event going on. And you're just like, how much money can I give you? I can't do any more than this.
That screams to me of what I was saying, though. The February event was probably the catalyst. It probably didn't do they probably had a target for that specific event, didn't do what it needed to do. And therefore they ramped in these other couple of additional events to try and pump their numbers up.
I heard that they hit their revenue targets for FY 2020, and then their revenue goals were increased substantially because of what they thought they could do.
That's what always happens. Yeah.
And then as soon as those reports came out, the announcements of numerous events rolled out.
That sounds pretty consistent, I'd say. I'd be almost willing to bet that's what's actually
But I mean,
happening.
what is a fair amount of money that I give a game? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What is fair? Because like if I'm gonna spend I put about 100 hours on Death Stranding. I paid $60 for that.
Yeah.
You know, are you going to charge me $60 per 100 hours? What is it? What does the industry want?
Yeah, it's a really tough one because I think a lot of consumers as well, audience members, equate value to time. And you know, that's why there's always been a lot of complaints around indie games being like, oh, they're cheap. Or no, sorry, that might be like $30 or whatever it is, or $20, and I've only got 2 hours worth of content or 4 hours worth of content or whatever it may be, versus paying $60 for something like a Death Stranding, for example, where you're getting, you know, quite literally, you know, your 100 hours. Dragon Age Inquisition, right? 100, 150, 200 hours for $60. Witcher 3, same situation. But if we start equating value to length, monetary value to length, I think you get into a really dangerous place because then you have a company like Ubisoft who's like, hey, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 250 hours to platinum. We're going to charge you $90 for this game or something like that. And I think you get into it, you get into a challenge. As a personal metric for me, you know, I equate it down to sort of enjoyment I get out of the game. So a game I talk about a lot, Dead by Daylight, I play a huge amount of. It's probably my equivalent game to what you play with Apex, right? So, you know, jumping on, playing a few hours a night. I think when I bought the game, it cost me like $30 or $40, something like that. It's a budget title. They've improved it over time. I've spent money on season passes. I've spent money on microtransactions to buy skins. But I've put thousands of hours into this game. Last year alone, I think it was like 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours or something like that. And to me, I'm like, well, you know, 2,000 hours for $30 worth of money. It's not a bad cost time analysis. And I mean, the amount of enjoyment I've got out of that, I would say it's worth it, and I'm okay putting additional money into that each year. But I
So,
think
like for me, I spent zero for Apex.
okay,
I feel obligated to spend at least some bit of money because I like the game that much,
yeah,
right? But like, how much is too much? That's my question. Is like, how
yeah,
much is too much for a reasonable person? Because to a business, there is no cap.
no,
To a
they want you to
business,
keep
it's
spending.
the business is, do you have $1? I want it, but
Yeah,
clearly there's some level of reasonableness there to say, well, if you play a game and enjoy it at all, you should spend some money on it. If you enjoy it a lot and play it a lot, you should probably spend a little bit more than that. And then there's probably should be a threshold to say, I would never spend more than this. Like, I think if I were to add up all my microtransactions for Apex,
yeah.
I know I've spent at least $500 on the game.
Okay, so that's a good. So I agree with
At
everything you've
least.
just said, by the way. So that's
Right.
I'm on the same page with you there. But then for that $500, have you got, say, the equivalent amount of money's worth? What's that, like 6, 7, 8 $60 games? Have you gotten that many $60 AAA games worth of value out of that game?
Yeah. I don't feel sour about the amount of money I've spent on the game.
Then it's a
Like, I don't.
satisfaction thing, right? It comes down to
Right. I don't feel like that's an unfair amount.
Yeah.
But if you were to buy everything, I do think that would be an unfair amount.
Yeah, but there's a lot of money, right? That's a huge quantity of money invested at that
to
point.
get every item for every character, because I'm a collector, right?
Yeah.
At heart, I'm a collector. I collect trophies. I collect all kinds of junk.
Microtransactions tap into that problem. I know.
Right. So psychologically, they're saying if you want the easiest way to get every skin, every quip, every banner pose, every finisher, every character, to get all of that and do it for every event, that's far more than $500.
That's ludicrous.
Thousands of dollars.
It's far too
thousands
much.
of dollars.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. At that level, it's kind of gross. It's really gross, which is where you're talking about the line between us. It's like, I'm okay with microtransactions existing in free games. I don't like games that say, look, you're going to give me $60 just to get in the door.
Yeah.
And then now you're in the door. We need to sustain this economy. I need you to give me $30 a month for it. I'm not a fan of that. One or the other, figure it out, and then if you're doing microtransactions, I do think the level of predation is not transparent enough for those who are being taken advantage of. Like, for those who don't understand that FIFA My Ultimate Team is preying upon your psychological urges to continue to spin the wheel to try to get your favorite footballer. Like, those people are putting thousands of dollars into the games, not realizing it. And it is intentionally done psychologically to manipulate people. I think that's super gross. But I understand if you put a free game out, capitalism is a thing. You have to run servers. You have to pay staff.
Yeah.
I get that. I just think the level of reasonableness is not shown in the way a lot of these games implement their stuff.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it comes down to that level of what is reasonable. Because I actually don't have a problem with microtransactions being in any game. I think if developers want to put them in, and there's a good enough reason to put them in, and someone wants to spend that money to purchase it, maybe they like the game a lot and they want to support the developers further, they want to support the publisher further, I don't think there's any problem with that. Maybe they want to speed up a grindy thing. I think that's fine as well.
But they make the thing grindy.
That's what I was going to get to. I don't like it when it's intentionally designed to be challenging, and then they give you a payment option to get out of it. I don't think that's acceptable. I think that's pretty terrible. But I think when they give you that option, if you do want to give them, money for an item back and things like that, I think that's okay to me. I think there's a place. But like George said, there's a game like FIFA Ultimate Team, or FIFA, sorry, where you can play FIFA, but a large part of FIFA is Ultimate Team, and you need to be constantly investing in these packs in Ultimate Team because you don't accumulate currency quick enough to be able to earn them in game, to be competitive and to play Ultimate Team online. I think NBA is very, very similar.
2K.
2K.
Yeah, like when the Zion Ultimate Team card came out, it was like retailing for $100
Yeah.
to get Zion. And
So,
yeah,
these sports games, they definitely prey on...
Your rosters don't even go year to year. You can't
No.
even take your team to the next game.
That's what's part of the bigger challenge.
Gross,
because
man.
these games are so popular and so mainstream, they are generally preying on everybody. I would
What
say...
new game are you making when you make NBA 2K20 and then NBA 2K21? There's no new game that you're making. It's the same sports game
It's
that you've
tough.
made since NBA 2K15
It's
with just a little bit of extra polish on it.
See, this is
You're charging 60 for that.
You and I differ on this a little bit because I've seen a little bit how the sausage is made. So I kind of do sympathize with the guys who make these annualized releases a fair bit because they are on very limited dev cycles to produce something for a publisher with very demanding schedule. So generally, there's only a couple of months of development in there because they're supporting the live service element in the previous game for so long before they can ramp into full production on the next one. They really only get to enhance one or two specific features, and they are very, very hardworking teams, these guys who do that. So I like hats off to the developers who are making these games because I don't think it's an easy job. I think what they're doing is producing, 2K and FIFA, for example, some of the biggest and highest selling games of the year annually. And
they've created that model. They've intentionally created the model where they annualize the release.
The publisher has, yeah. The developer hasn't. But I don't think it's the dev's fault necessarily. I think there's a lot of things that are added in there because the publishers have insisted they needed to be added in there and things like that. In terms of like lazy releases and things, I disagree because I know how hard those guys do work. But I can see how it looks. I can see how it looks.
Yeah.
And I don't think
I disagree by not buying them.
Well, that's,
so like
that's a way of doing it, right?
WWE 2K19, 2K20, 2K21, when the 2K20 debacle came out, and it looked so terrible, you could buy it. So like if you wanna crunch devs so hard to where they can just poorly make the same crappy game that they've been making for 5 years and say, oh no, we've got QB vision. We added QB vision this season, or we added extra skills in Madden this year. I'll just stop buying them, and that's what I did.
Specifically on the 2K, the WWE one, what they actually did there is they switched developers, so they would have a longer cycle making those games, and the developer that they put in place to make 20 didn't have the chops. They did a atrocious job of producing that game, and the original developer, the guys who normally annualize the releases, didn't have anything to do with it, and that's what released as a subpar product. Rather than pulling it and saying, all right, we're going to skip a year, the publisher still decided to release that terrible game knowing it was a terrible game, to pull money from it.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care if it's good for us.
They don't care.
For the player. They'll just not play it.
It's a better conversation. Ask everybody though, if you're watching this on podcast form, then or video form, I should say, on the YouTube video, or on podcast form, even come to the video and leave a comment and let us know what your thoughts are on that whole side of things around microcurrency, microtransactions. I feel like a lot of people are probably going to come down more on your side, and I agree with the majority of the points you're making. By the way, there's just a few things that I think my perspective is slightly different because of my background, perhaps working within the industry, so I can kind of see a little bit more about how it's made. I mean, generally though, I would say it is pretty predatory. I mean, even internally, I would say it's pretty predatory.
So, like, for any game, I don't have an issue with just any game having microtransactions. Like, I bought the XP boost on the Assassin's Creed game. I bought it on Odyssey.
To speed the process up, right? Yeah.
Well, I was enjoying it, but I also just didn't want to play as long.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like the game was intentionally long. I felt like it had a lot of stuff. I didn't feel like they throttled your XP accumulation to encourage you to buy the 2x XP boost.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then the reports of that actually happening in Battlefront sickened you.
Yeah.
When there's like, oh, to get Darth Vader, you actually need to grind for like 10 years. And you just don't get them. And that was actually a change they intentionally made.
But that's completely
You know.
mismanaged. That's them like taking something way past the point of where it's like even
Right.
remotely acceptable, right? That's just
Yeah.
so extreme because not a lot of. I mean, that is EA again, but not a lot of companies have done that to that level. Sorry, EA,
I
if we're
think
wailing on you
Destiny
here.
2, there was a gaff where it was revealed that there was some XP throttling going on, but they were like, "Oh, that was an oversight. That was a mistake," and then they walked it back.
Do you
One
think?
game I liked the microtransactions on was Path of Exile.
Sure.
I
Okay.
really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It's a free game, and all of the microtransactions were quality of life, and I never felt like I was getting robbed when I bought them, because like the way item management could be enhanced with microtransactions, so you can get more pages in your treasure chest to store and manage your items. So like the first thing I did with my character was just bought pages to store my items that went on certain pages here and there, and I just filled it all out. And you could totally exist just fine without ever buying them, and you could even be competitive in like the ladders and not even need all of the quality of life enhancements. But I bought them anyway, and I was okay with it. I never felt bad about it.
It's the kind
And
of thing
that's a Diablo 2 game.
It's the kind of thing I would do as well. Like coming back to
Yeah.
that trophy hunting mentality. When I sit down to play a game, I want to have the best experience I can have with it, right? Like Dead by Daylight was the same. I could have gone and played Dead by Daylight for 1,000 hours with the base content, got the platinum, been done with it, or just played it casually and been done with it. But then you're like, I'm playing so much of this. How can I make this better for myself? I can buy more characters and more skills and more perks and more outfits and things, and you can keep investing money to have the best possible time with it. It's the same when I play a multiplayer game with a lot of DLC. Hunt Showdown famously has a ton of guns as DLC, and I just went and bought them all because I'm like, well, I'm enjoying this game so much, and I want to continue to be able to enjoy it. I want to be able to continue to enhance that experience by dumping money into guns. Like, what's it going to do? No, it doesn't impact my play. It doesn't make me any better or any worse at the game, but I'm kind of like, this is the full experience of the game that I'm getting now because I have access to everything there. There's nothing locked for me. But I think that's very much a trophy hunter completionist mentality. That's not probably a healthy mentality to have, but I'm kind of just like, just give me the game as intended. Give me the full thing. Let me just enjoy it. I don't want to sit there and have played half the content, have finished the game, and be like, I'm done with this now. I'm obviously not paying the money to buy the rest of the stuff because I'm finished, but I didn't I didn't fulfill that. It wasn't fulfilling enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah, the microtransactions in live service games, like for me for Apex, it doing well, it working for me means I don't buy other games.
Yeah.
So I can take my budget that I would put towards other games.
Yeah.
And I can put it towards Apex and feel reasonable about it. I mean, I at my peak of like platinum grinding could get a AAA title once a week and knock out a 60-hour plat once a week. And I would just do that every week, which would be a $60 game. And then maybe on the weekend, knock out some cheapies like Ratalaika. That's like grind out a week of AAA, knock out some cheapies in there. So maybe spending $80 a week just on gaming. But to keep it easy, about 60 to $80 every 2 weeks is about how I would budget it. Now, I play Apex and only spend $60 on it, maybe like once every couple of months. You know, I feel a lot better about spending that money because I know I'm not encouraged, or I'm less likely to go buy other games because I just don't want to stray too much.
Yeah, definitely.
And my wife notices that when she looks at our credit card statement. She's like, we have much fewer Sony charges. He's like, are you still just only playing Apex? I'm like, yep. She's like, well, that's good, I guess.
I've had the same comment from my wife, but that's because I just stopped playing most games. I've actually been playing a lot more backlog stuff. I haven't been buying as many things. So you're not buying games anymore? You're not playing them anymore? I was like,
what are all these PS3 and PS Vita charges? Are you back into that? Did you get hacked?
Are you back? You're not doing it again, are you? You said something before. I forgot what it was now about about you knocking out a full AAA game a week, which is crazy. You used to look like a Hakum, and now look at you now.
I got some rest.
Yeah, you were so sad and tired when you were doing that, and now you just
I
look,
was not sad and tired.
you're
I
so much more
really
vibrant
enjoyed
now.
it. I really enjoyed it. Well, I just have a bad sleep pattern, and
We're
being
too
able to
old for
just
that.
get.
We're too old for that. We can't do that.
Well, I wake up later. My work is lenient enough to let me wake up later, so like I can go to bed when I want to go to bed and wake up when I want to wake up.
Well,
Just the thing for me is that like there's a lot of game like awake time when like my wife is asleep.
yeah.
So it's like, well, what am I gonna do from like 10 to 3? And it's like, oh, I guess I'll just do another 6 hours of Far Cry 4.
Far Cry Primal.
Yeah, time to go back and grind out Primal, get the plat on it, and then go
Ugh.
on from there.
Oof.
Yeah. And a lot of it was real social too. It was like other platinum groups of dudes who were like-minded individuals who were like, yo, let's do the Friday the 13th platinum together as a team. And I'm like, all right, this sounds great. Let's go. Or let's knock out Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Everyone get on. We're doing all the Easter eggs 100%. Let's go. I thought that was really fun, man. That was some of my favorite parts of doing that.
When I was a young man, it used to be fun. And then I just get old. My bones are creaky and rickety, and I just can't do that anymore. I can't.
You'll get the vitality back once you get that workout program real cranked up.
That's what it has to be, right? We got to train to be a trophy hunter. It's not just
you got to get healthy to be lazy, man. If you're unhealthy and lazy, it's bad.
It's not good.
No, you get angina and hypertension.
Mate, this has been a fantastic conversation. As always, there's been another TCS.
TCS.
This has been a good conversation. I like this. I want people to sound off in the comment section down below, though, and let me know what you guys think on the whole microtransaction thing. Curious to get everyone's thoughts. We'll reply to comments in the comment section down below as always as well. That's really all. I don't have anything to plug. I'm not doing anything at the moment. Do you have any stuff you wanna talk about? Just Jackbox or anything special coming up?
Nope. Twitch.tv/egeorge_. Come find me on Twitch. I will be doing probably crazy stunts or playing drum set. One or the other.
That's good. And
do a lot of Jackbox. We do a lot of drawing. We do a lot of crazy stuff. Not a lot of PlayStation anymore, but we do fun stuff.
It's good. And like just hitting a massive milestone on Twitch as well, right?
Yep, got my first DMCA strike. No, it's not that. No, it's not that. No. Yeah, I passed 1,000 followers over there. Followers are like subscribers on YouTube. So I passed 1,000 over there, and sky's the limit. We'll keep going. Hopefully I make partner pretty soon.
That's crazy, man. 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Nobody.
No.
Nobody would have thought.
I didn't.
Nobody thinks. Nobody. I don't think.
I didn't think.
I was doing streams off of my PS4, and now I've got this whole gaming rig or this whole computer rig, and I don't want to go back.
So is Twitch like YouTube in that you want people to unsubscribe or you want people to follow? Like, do you want to get more followers or less followers?
I'm trying to get to 0 so I can delete my channel and be free of this curse.
Yeah, that's what, because that's what's same with YouTube. Like your goal is always to try and get back to 0 as close as you can to 0.
Yeah, well, I'm actually doing an unsubathon here pretty soon. I'm just gonna make a bunch of cancel statements and then hopefully get down to 0, delete the channel, and then just move on with my life. Just have a regular day job. Just be a platinum trophy viewer and just go on.
Just be a regular Joe. I'm trying to get there too. I'm working really hard at getting there at the moment. Hopefully eventually I'll be able to get as close to that 0 number as possible and just be rid of.
They keep subscribing instead. How rude!
They keep subscribing.
How do you get them to stop?
You could. I mean, I've told them to stop subscribing. They just keep doing it. They just keep hitting the.
I really thought some of your intro skits would kill it.
But no, they just drove the dislikes up very high. That was all.
You mean engagement has increased?
Engagement has increased, correct.
Engagement has increased aggressively on the disc.
Incredibly aggressively. Hey, engagement's engagement, right?
Hey, I'll take what I can get.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Mate, it has been an absolute pleasure, as it always is. Thank you, all of you at home or wherever you are, for listening to this week's episode. Stay tuned for next week's episode. We're going to be talking about a topic we haven't decided yet. George, you want to have the final word?
No.
Good night. Good job. Good job, buddy. Patrons, thank you so very much for each and every one of your generosity this month. You'll be seeing your names coming up here on the right hand side if you're a Patreon or a channel member on the YouTube channel this month. If you want to support me, if you do decide you want to support me further and help keep this channel's lights on, link in the description down below to become a Patreon, or you can click on the join button down below next to the subscribe button to become a channel member. Thanks, you guys, you're all legends.